Hello. Trying to lift my chair up with a bum foot.
Oh,
Let's see. Okay.
how are you doing? Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Oh, I bet. I can't even imagine the challenges that you're going through.
Yeah, be careful.
Well, I said that to myself, like when I'm doing my treadmill even, I'm like, okay, be careful because.
Got enough to take care of. Yeah. Oh, man.
One thing before anybody else comes on, I have been looking for another team, escrow team for that agent that we were talking about. Kristen said no. She said, until I get more help, I can't,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I am swamped. I want to be able to take care of people. Carol Ruth is so busy right there across the street.
How is Tyler feeling about it all?
Well, when I was in, he said, is there anybody that you would suggest that's closer? And I said, let me think about that for you, Tyler. And then I'm like, okay. Not Ida, not Kristen, because
Melanie?
She might. Oh, look, Michelle is here. Michelle Ripley.
Hi, Michelle. She's like,
hello.
I wasn't going to talk yet. You're on mute. Michelle, you're muted.
I was saying my screen is right here, but my laptop is over here. So I'm not ignoring you when I look this way. Karen and I were just logging on to see if we could figure out how to log on without clicking the link. So I wanted to log on the computer. So we figured it out. So
very good.
How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, just hanging in there.
Yeah.
So weird. I need to put my computer the other way.
I know I've done that before where I'm trying to put my thing really close together, so I'm kind of looking at it.
Well, my camera is on the laptop, but the screen is black, so I can't see you here. I can only see you here. Hey, there's Karen.
Hey, Karen.
Hi, Karen. You're muted also.
You're muted. Ooh. It gives me a little bit more light.
That's a great dress, Michelle.
Thanks. You guys ready for Thanksgiving?
Well, I broke my ankle, so I don't think there's going to be like Thanksgiving at my house.
No. What happened?
Oh my gosh. I was doing cartwheels. No, I'm just kidding. I have a sidewalk in the backyard that's a few inches up from the
no.
and I stepped on the side, and so I rolled.
Yeah.
But I fell the other direction.
Yeah. That sucks.
Screamed bloody murder for my husband who was in the house, and yeah, so.
Did you have to go to the hospital?
I did go to the hospital, and they stuck me in a temporary splint. Then I went to the orthopedic doctor the next day, and luckily no surgery and no cast. I have a boot, but it'll be a while before I could drive or anything.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
I know. To be so independent, it is hard.
Oh my goodness, it's your right foot.
Yeah, it's my right foot. Yesterday, Kevin dropped me off at work at 6, and then Lindsay took me home. So today I'm working out at home.
Oh no, it's going to break.
So Karen, you're on mute, but are you on the Ripley team now?
I am.
Cool. Well, my name's
It's been like 2 months now.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Very good. What'd you do before?
I worked at Amphi School District at Coronado K-8
Oh, okay.
as their administrative assistant. But then prior to that, I worked with with Jeff L at the Luxury Real Estate Group, or
Oh,
real estate
okay.
team.
We might have met way back then.
I think we probably did.
I think we did. Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. So Michelle
she's-
snatched you up.
Yeah, she's been a great we interviewed her 2 years ago and she decided not to leave Coronado at that time. And so when Sadie moved into sales, we put another ad out and she reapplied. I was like, oh.
Yay.
So yeah, we're both hoping that this class will help us not miss some issues on the title reports that we've been seeing lately.
Yes.
It's super smart to take this, especially after you have been in the business for a while, because it really makes sense then.
Yeah, it's one of those things that always comes through and you kind of figure someone else is always looking out for it, and then you find there's an issue. So yeah.
And then you go, how did I miss that?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of a few years ago, or a couple years ago, I think we had an issue with a listing during the Binzer stage and lost the transaction and the listing because of what was found. And that was the one thing where we were like, okay, from now on, that'll never happen again. We'll always order a prelim. And so we've been super, super consistent, but probably 97% of the time. But it's funny that the 3% of the time that we didn't, those were the only 3% listings that that has had something come up. So it's really random how just like sometimes it doesn't happen, and very rare. And then there's something on that prelim. So yeah, we are lucky. I don't know, Colleen, if you got an update, but we ended up working through that one on Country Hill, but we had to move to Fidelity National Title. Yeah. So
Well, I'm glad that you got it closed though.
Well, it'll be closing next week. Yeah. But we couldn't get a hold of the guy, the relative. We couldn't get a hold of him to sign off on that, so couldn't waste any more time. And going through the whole identity statement thing again now, and the seller package, but it'll get done. So
yeah. Every once in a while that happens, like we'll insure something where another company is unwilling, and then it'll come back to us, and vice versa. But yeah,
but for the most part, you guys all do the same. So that's, have the same criteria and requirements, so don't usually have an issue with that.
Well, and Melanie talked to the new gal too in her office. That was the deal, Kathy, where the new girl didn't open the early bird with us. And when they opened the early bird, they didn't have the requirement, but then they had it when they reran it, when they had a buyer, and it showed up.
Kind of frustrating too, because we went to the trouble of a counter offer to call out Catalina Title, and the new person didn't honor that. So disappointing.
That has been corrected.
Yeah.
She has been educated.
Good.
Good deal. Hi, Cindy. Welcome. I love your glasses. They're really cute.
Those are fun.
They suit you.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah, that's the phrase of the year. You're on mute. I see Todd is here, but he's on mute.
And no video. That's no fair.
I know.
Not video and not Todd. That's my son. Sorry, I'm multitasking, guys. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we still have 5 minutes. I could make 5 phone calls in that time frame.
You could go for it.
Yeah. I've got we were having a client party and I need to make calls to these clients. But now there we go. All right, I'll be back.
Hey, Tricia.
Why what?
My favorite TikTok dances.
Why does Look wear glasses? Because his eyes aren't very good.
My,
No, your eyes are good.
my
Hmm.
favorite
Just a few more
dances
minutes.
TikTok.
I don't see that I have like host controls, but I think I can still share screen, so that's good. So the weather is so weird. It's like another summer day.
I know.
I turn the heat on in the morning and the air conditioner at night.
I had a friend of ours post from where we used to live at in Maryland, and they're getting snow.
Oh,
I was
pretty.
like, yeah, y'all can have it.
Yeah. I like to visit it, like see it next to a fireplace for a day.
Hmm.
That's about it.
Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Trisha, how you doing?
Good. How's your ankle?
Oh, it's not working.
Ow, that just sounds painful.
Hey, Todd, I'm on a class. How do you need
It is.
Oh,
Am I freezing you guys? I'm not having very good internet, it seems like.
I'm frozen here.
You're
Yeah,
clear on our side, Kathy.
Okay, I can't see Trisha even though your video's on. Oh, there you are. It just took a
Hey, Trisha.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Karen Taylor.
Mhm.
I have a question. We were having a discussion today about the ZoCam.
Yes.
Do you have any documentation or links that you would be able to send us so we can include that in our client information for their earnest money deposits?
I think I do. Yeah, I can send you a marketing piece.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yep. Okay, I'll write that down.
Hi, Lindsay. I noticed we both have our sweater with our chokers.
We're like in sync, Kathy.
Doing that.
I wake up every morning.
Hi, Tony.
Trying to find a good lighting around here.
How you doing?
You look
I'm
good.
doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Excited. I need this.
Okay, well, actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Kathi Fowler. I'm the manager of Catalina Title, and glad to see you all today. I wanted to see if we could just go around and introduce ourselves because with COVID and just in the real estate world, the way it is, we don't get to meet even the people we work with very often. So let's go ahead and just say who's on my screen. You can introduce yourself and let me know which office you hang your license at as well. Colleen?
Hi, everybody. I think I know everyone. Colleen Hoffman here, a business consultant for Catalina Title out of the Goslar Village office. and the Ripley office. I'm going to be here for just a few minutes in the beginning as Kathi gets started, and then I'm going to go ahead and slide out. Enjoy the class, ask questions. I will post my phone number. You probably already have it, but I'll also post Kathy's just in case you ever need her and her expertise in the chat. And thank you for your business. You know, Jason, I want to congratulate you on getting licensed. Congratulations. Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. You're going to love this class. We love being in business with you. If there's anything you need, you can reach out to myself or Lindsay. Lindsay Crane is here. She'll introduce herself. And of course, Kathi is always here for all of us. So that's about all I have.
Thanks, Colleen. And Karen?
Karen Taylor. I work with the Ripley Luxury Real Estate Group, Michelle Ripley and Steve Ripley, and I'm their executive assistant. So this class is somewhat of a refresher, and I am so excited to be part of it again.
Yeah, good to see you. Now I remember you. And Cindy?
Hi, I'm Cindy Irwin, and I am with Keller Williams, Southern Arizona, the River Road location.
Someone has a lot of background noise. Anyway, thanks, Cindy. How long have you been in the business?
I've been with Keller Williams for a year, and prior to that, I was with Coldwell Banker for a year.
Oh, okay.
So I'm new.
Okay.
Pretty new.
All right, Trisha.
Hi, everybody. I'm Trisha Hooper. I'm in business development with Title Security, and my office is at the River Campbell location, but I'm working from home.
Nice to see you. And Lindsay.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Hey, everybody. I'm Lindsay Crane with Catalina Title. Glad to be here with the Catalina Title crew and everybody. I am business development as well, but I work with everybody at the Kolb office, and I am a former agent of KW, so I have extra love for you all. This is a fantastic class. Kathy's a great teacher, and as a former agent, I just know how important this class is. So congratulations for being on this call and continuing your education, because it's so important to help serve your clients. But I am also here to help. I will shoot, I think Colleen, it looks like she just messaged everybody her and Kathy's number, but I will put mine in the chat as well. So anybody out of the Kolb office, love to help out. And obviously, if Colleen's not available, you guys can always reach out to me as well, everybody at the River office. So enjoy the class.
Thanks, Lindsay. And Tony?
Hi, I'm Tony Ellison. I'm a Keller Williams agent as well. I've been doing this for 3 months, and I'm with Danny Ross' team.
Nice to see
So
you.
excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And Jason? You're muted.
Yeah, trying to unmute myself. My name is Jason Thompson. I just finally got licensed last Friday.
Yay!
Yes. So that's it. I'm with Keller Williams and out of the JV office.
Welcome. And Michelle?
Okay, I missed the part where what is it I'm supposed to say?
Who are you and where do you work? And
Okay. Okay, so I'm Michelle Ripley with Ripley's Luxury Real Estate Group here at the Oro Valley location. A lot of you don't know we have an Oro Valley location, but we do. I've been in the business for 20 years.
thanks, Michelle. And Cindy?
Hi, I'm Cindy Cummett, and I've been with Keller Williams for a little over 2.5 years. I was wondering what happened to you, Kathy.
I'm right here.
Yay!
Nice to see you. Are you still at the Kolb location?
Oh, yes, I'm at the Kolb location, but working from home.
Okay.
You heard me now, Cindy.
Oh, yes, hi. I was wondering who said that. Yes, Lindsay, I was a little confused. I was like, what is going on here?
Change is constant. Okay, Jen.
Let me unmute myself. Hi, hey there. So obviously I am working from home and momming a preschooler from home, which is always fun. And yeah, I'm in the Kolb office these days and used to be at the Oro Valley office. So.
Hi, Jen. Nice to meet you. You both are in class today.
Yes.
Jason Thompson,
Yes.
would you like to introduce yourself? Oh,
You already asked me.
did. Thank
Uh-huh.
you. You messed me up because you took your video off.
Since most people are working at home, I'm having lunch at El Monito, so I didn't want everyone to see me stuffing my face.
Nice. Double duty. Valeria or Valeria? I'm sorry, I might have said that wrong. Are you with us,
Hi.
Valeria? Hi.
Yes, I'm Valeria Flores. I just started last month with the Keller Williams, Southern Arizona on the Kolb location.
Well, welcome, and sorry I said your name incorrectly.
It's okay, it's pretty close.
And, can I get a chimichanga
Jason,
to go?
Can you mute yourself? We're listening to your order.
Sorry, I appreciate that.
Heather Hansen. Is Heather there? Okay, Adriana.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Adriana Mujal with the JB office, almost 2 months.
All right, well, welcome. Really nice professional photo, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, well, what we're going to do today is go through a preliminary title report. I'm just going to try to make it as simple as possible, you know, because there's always going to be different kinds of things that you're going to see on prelims. And so I can't go over every single item that will ever come up in your future. However, I have quite a few of them covered. The most important thing is to read the preliminary title reports when you get them. And if you don't understand something on there, pick up the phone or send an email to your escrow officer. And when you get these, so typically you get the preliminary title reports once escrow has been opened. So you have a contract accepted, sorry, my plug came out. Accepted by both parties, buyer and seller. And once you open that with escrow, that's typically when the preliminary title report is ordered. We also call it title commitment, but you can also order an early bird, what's called an early bird report. And that is you have the listing and you want a preliminary title report up front. You'd like to use your escrow officer with title security. And it'll help you to, we were just talking about this with Michelle before the meeting, it will help you to determine if there's any problems that are gonna take some time to clean up. So, so that is when you'll receive those. And it's a little bit different. I wanna just say the difference between an early bird title report and like a listing package. So normally when you're getting ready to go on a listing appointment, you'll order a listing package from Lindsay or Colleen or Trisha, and they will get that ordered from customer service for you. It'll give you the buyer or the owner, all the maps, CC&Rs, and any liens that are on the property. Mortgage liens, not like judgments or federal tax liens don't show up on that. So that's a listing package. And then a listing book is similar to a listing package, but it's the book that gets left in the house for buyers when they come in so they can look at the maps and restrictions and that kind of thing. So, all right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Uh-oh, whoever the host is has disabled me from sharing screen. Colleen, do you think you could reach out to one of the KW people for me? Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Maybe they could make me a host or at least allow me to share a screen. So while Colleen is doing that, thank you so much. the preliminary title report basically has 3 sections, and those 3 sections are Schedule A, Schedule B Part 1, which is commonly referred to as the requirement page, and then Schedule B Part 2. That's, even though preliminary title reports, when you get them, they're like 25, 30 pages long. Really, what your buyers and sellers need to focus on is just those 3 sections: Schedule A, Schedule B Part 1, and Schedule B Part 2. And another thing about that is, once your buyer receives the preliminary title report, they have 5 days from date of receipt of that to make sure it's going to work for them per your contract. So that is different than the inspection period. It is a separate time period, and if we have their email address, then we'll email it to them within a couple of days of the escrow opening. If we have their postal address, if they'd rather have postal mail, we will mail it to them through the mail to their address. And if we email it, they will be able to retrieve hyperlinks on all of the, oh, hi, is that Kayla?
Hello, I'm making you host right now. So sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. Thanks for answering the phone.
Anytime. Sorry, I'm in here with Jesse. He's helping me out.
Great. Okay, I'm the host now, so I can share. Thanks for being so quick. Appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open that now. Okay. Can you guys see it? Somebody unmute and let me know if you can see the screen. Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what, again, they're usually 26 to 30 pages long. There's a lot of pre-printed pages, and the first page is a pre-printed page. But there's the one thing about the first page, it tells you who our underwriter is. And we have 3 underwriters: Old Republic, First American, and Title Resources Guarantee. And how that is beneficial to you is that if one of the companies, one of our underwriters is like, nope, you have to jump through these fiery hoops to get the deal closed, we can check with another underwriter to see if they will not take, if they are a little more lenient. So that is really, and just kind of because I realized recently people don't know this, we don't go to the underwriter every time we write a preliminary title report like a lender does. They automatically stand behind our work. It's only in weird situations where we have some issues that we go to them to find out what they're going to need us to get to close. So in this case, Old Republic is the underwriter on this one. Okay, so I was telling you that there's 3 parts. So the first part is here, Schedule A. And no matter if you are the on the buyer side or the listing side, Schedule A is important to you. So I'm just going to go through and tell you what kind of information you'll find on here. You'll find our file number, and you will find title securities number. So those are just to help us, categorize these. And then the effective date. So that is not today's date. Let's say you open escrow today, which is what is today? The 17th of November. And in a couple of days, you get a prelim, and the effective date says November 1st. Well, that is because the effective date is the date that our title plant has been posted up to. So anything that recorded after that effective date, we're not going to see yet. And all title companies own the same title plant. So we are all in the same boat with that. Basically, it's, the stuff gets recorded with the Pima County Recorder. Then DSI, Data Services Incorporated, takes all that recorded, those recorded documents, and puts it into a good system that we can search easily by running the legal description or the name. And so that's why they're, it's a little bit behind. Okay, so you're going to see the effective date. And then this section, number 2, is the types of insurance that we're going to issue. So typically your contract says that the seller will provide an ALTA homeowner's policy for the buyer. So the buyer gets a homeowner's policy, and you'll see it's called ALTA. It just gives you the last date that that homeowner's policy has been updated through the American Land Title Association. It tells you who we're insuring. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions just to get you guys engaged. So feel free to unmute. Who would we be insuring on the homeowner's policy? Anybody know?
The new buyer.
What is that?
The new buyer.
Yes, very good, Cindy. The new buyer. So that's who we're going to be insuring once it closes. So you want to check and make sure your buyer is correct. And then we insure, in this case, we're going to insure for $200,000. And do you know, Cindy, where we get that? Now I'm just going to quiz you.
Ask me that again. Do I know where you get the $200,000?
$200,000.
Ask me the question again. I'm sorry.
Well, we're going to insure the buyer for $200,000, but where do we come up with a $200,000 amount? Well, that's the sales price. Just so you guys know, it's a sales price.
It's based on the sales price.
Yeah, it's the sales price. So we don't look at the appraisal and title or, the tax assessor's amount. It's just the sales price. We're insuring them for $200,000 because that's what they're paying for it. And then we're also going to issue a loan policy. Anytime your buyer is getting a loan to purchase the property, their lender is going to want a loan policy. And typically the buyer typically pays for that. And that we issue for the loan amount, $160,000. So basically on Schedule A, we're telling you the effective date and the types of insurance we're going to issue, for how much and to who. And then the next part on Schedule A, we're going to tell you what kind of interest the buyer is going to end up owning. They're going to have fee title or fee simple, like you guys learned about in school. Another thing you might see is fee as to parcel 1, easements as to parcel 2 and 3. So they would be buying a piece of property and then they would be buying easements across other people's property to get to the road. So that is sometimes common as well. But in this case, it's just fee title. Number 4, you're also going to find on Schedule A, and this tells you who the current owner is. So in this case, it is the heirs and devisees of Jacqueline Lee Seller, deceased. If you see that on your prelim, that the owner is the heirs and devisees of someone, you probably want to call escrow right away, because our seller is deceased. We need to make sure that we get the right people signing the documents. And we'll see later on in the prelim how do we go about finding out who can sign. And then the last thing on Schedule A is the legal description. And it doesn't fit on the first page, so we put it on the next page. So we're ensuring that the buyer is purchasing Lot 4 of East Point Estates 2. Gives you the legal description for the property. Okay, so that's it for Schedule A. That's the first section. Then the second section is Schedule B, Section 1, or the requirement page. We call it the requirement page because these are the things that are required to clean up before transferring title to the buyer. So if there are loans on the property, we're going to ask for, like, number 1, record a release and reconveyance of a deed of trust. So what this means is that in 2003, a deed of trust was put on the property for $108,979, and escrow is going to call the lender and find out how much is due now, and that's going to get paid through the proceeds once this closes. And so we'll get this taken off so that your buyer will not have to deal with it after they purchase. And then underneath there is a little paragraph that you'll see sometimes. Anytime that the lender, which was AmeriCorps Mortgage Corporation, anytime that the lender sells their loan, you're going to see this little paragraph saying the beneficial interest was assigned by instrument, docket, and page, and then it will say who the new lender is. So in this case, it's MidFirst Savings and Loan. So if you're the listing agent, you know, you've probably talked to the seller about like what liens do you know about on your property, and then you'll be able to kind of verify them when you look at this. You'll be, you know, kind of cross-reference just for your own benefit.
Kathy, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
If you got an early bird preliminary report, would it also show if they owe things on the house?
It will. It will show you. It's exactly like what we're looking at today. The only difference is it'll say buyer to come, sales price to come.
Oh.
So, but everything else would be the same.
Would it show if they were in arrears on like HOAs or anything like that?
Well, you'll see only if a lien is recorded, because these are recorded liens.
Okay.
So, and this does not tell you the payoff amount. These amounts that are on these deeds of trust are the original loan amounts. We actually have to call the lenders to get payoff amounts. So number 2 here is another deed of trust, probably a home equity line of credit or something. And the lender was Wells Fargo Bank. It was originally for $10,000. So we got to, escrow is going to get that paid off and released. So, and that's kind of another point is that as Catalina Title, we're the ones who do the research and issue these preliminary title reports. Our office is over right across the street from your guys' Kolb office. And that's where, you know, we have 10 employees doing all the research and stuff like that on the properties. Then escrow is the one who cleans everything up and follows the directions from the contract. And that's at Title Security. Okay, so continuing on the requirement page, Schedule B, Section 1. Now, just because of classroom purposes, this is a really ugly one. So hopefully you guys never have one like this, but I've put pretty much everything on here. So number 3, if the buyer, if the owner hasn't been making payments on their loan, then a notice of trustee sale gets recorded saying we're getting ready to foreclose on you. And that's what this is right here. We're asking for a cancellation of that notice of trustee sale. So they have to cancel the foreclosure because we are getting ready to have a bona fide sale. And then number 4 is just what you were asking about, Cindy. This says record a release of a homeowners association lien. So they actually got so far in arrears that the HOA recorded a lien against the property in the original amount of $1,300. So that has to get paid off and released as well. And HOAs can actually foreclose on these liens. So it's important for people to pay their HOA. Okay, now also, if you have judgments against you that have been recorded in the county recorder's office, then they also, even though they don't have the legal description for any properties on them, they attach to anything the seller owns. So if the seller owns 15 properties in Pima County, this judgment's going to show up on every single one of those. And until it's paid off, it's not going away. Even if they transfer the property to somebody else, it's on there. Once it's on there, it's on there until it's paid. So number 5 is record a satisfaction of judgment. And then it gives you a little information about it. The creditor is Sears Roebuck and Company. What happens with these is escrow calls the attorney for the creditor. They give them a call, they find out how much is due, and then they pay it out of the proceeds. So it goes away for the new buyer. Your seller, if your seller has some judgments and federal tax liens and stuff like that, you want to let them know that they should, if they're going to do any negotiating with those creditors to get the amount down, they need to do that prior to escrow calling the attorney, because what's going to happen is once escrow calls the attorney, they're probably not going to be willing to negotiate anymore. They're just going to be like, oh, good, we're going to get paid. So, all right. And then number 6, something else that can attach to your property is a federal tax lien. So if you owe your federal taxes and the IRS records a lien against you, we have to get that paid off and released. I forgot to mention that this section of the prelim, the requirement page, is most important for the seller and listing agent. It is not super important for your buyer. So like if your buyer sees all this stuff and they're freaked out, the truth is this stuff is going to get paid off and taken care of. It will not affect them in the future. The only time it would be a worry is if there was too much money due and the seller, wouldn't be able to close. So if, if there was $1 million in liens and it's a $200,000 house, then there may not be enough money to pay everything. Okay, still going on the second section, Schedule B, Section 1, requirement page. This seller did not pay her state income taxes either, and so the escrow officer has to get those paid off and released. I want to let you know that if you have a seller with a common name like John Smith or a lot of Hispanic names are common, Juan Martinez or something like that, we search the public records and we may have 4 pages of judgments and federal tax liens. So what we'll do in that case is we'll ask for a statement of identification that your seller fills out and says, here's all my exes, here's where I've lived, here's my jobs, here's my social security number, so that we can compare that to the liens and get rid of the liens, as many as we can based on that. Okay, then number 8 is something that you would see if your seller had filed bankruptcy. And this is a perfect example of just having to read these because you don't really know what it is until you get way down to line 5 where it says with the clerk of the bankruptcy court. So what we're asking for is we're asking for an order authorizing the sale. If you file bankruptcy, the bankruptcy court puts an automatic stay. It's called a stay on anything you own. And without their approval, you can't sell. So they always give approval, it seems, because they know some bills are going to get paid if you sell your property. But this could take some time to get. So, some of these things like paying off a lien, many times that can happen within a few days. But dealing with getting an order from the bankruptcy court might take a month. So it's good to look at these right away. And then number 9, remember our seller was deceased. So because she wasn't joint tenants with right of survivorship or community property with right of survivorship, or she didn't have the property in a trust, she just owned the property all by herself. When she passed away, a probate has to be done in order to get a personal representative of her estate to be able to sign all the documents and function on behalf of the heirs and devotees. Typically it's a family member, but sometimes there's not a family member and it might be an attorney or a court. So that can take some time as well. All right, and then number 10, anytime there is a probate, we're going to ask for an affidavit by the personal representative saying how much the estate is worth, because if it's over, I don't know, remember, but a large amount, $8 million or something like that, then it has to be reported because of taxes. Okay, now that we have all that stuff cleaned up, we're going to record the deed from the new personal representative of Jacqueline Lee Seller, deceased, to the new buyer and seller. So your buyer and seller go in, sign documents with escrow, and then Catalina Title records those. Cindy, did you have a question?
I do have a question. So with all of that that's going on that you guys are checking out and everything, is that why some escrows take longer to close? And does
Yeah.
all of this happen after the loan has funded? Where's the money?
No,
coming
so
from?
what happens?
Where does the money come
So,
from?
yeah,
If the seller owes all that money in liens and they're going to take it out of their proceeds or, from the sale of the house, where's that money come from? How's that coordinate?
so yeah, those are great questions. So first of all, most of the time title is not going to hold up a closing most of the time. But, if somebody hasn't gotten probate proceedings started, the seller hasn't started a probate proceeding, they're late on that could hold it up. So where the money comes from. So escrow is the holder of the money. And so the buyer, they get the earnest money check. And then the lender, the new lender, funds however much they're going to send. So in this case, $160,000. And then the buyer's going to bring in the rest as their down payment. So it's going to be like $200,000 plus, title fees, blah, 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 taxes, some prorations and stuff. So basically $200,000. And then what happens is once the lender funds the loan and we record, the very next thing that happens is all the checks are cut to pay this stuff off. So it gets paid off, the commission, it gets paid off at the same time you guys get your commission checks. All of that happens at the exact same time. And that's why we have escrow officers, that we work with, because they're trusted people through title security that will hold this money and make sure everything gets paid off.
So it would be important for us as agents, especially if we're representing the seller, to be sure they know that what they thought they were going to net from the sale of their house, they need to also know that there may be these other liens or things that have to be paid off first, and that would come out of that
No,
amount.
they
Is that
wouldn't
right?
they
'Cause what if
won't
they
be
thought they were
paying
gonna
them
get-
first.
They don't pay them?
The only problem that could happen, Cindy, is that let's say there was $200,000 sale and the liens, all the liens, taxes, everything totaled $210,000. Then the seller might have to come in with that $10,000. Very rare. Sometimes if it ends up being that way, the deal may fall through because the seller doesn't have that money. So, but it's a very rare situation.
I was thinking of the fact that most sellers want to know, well, what am I going to net? What am I going to get? Right. So I know what I'm going to put down on a new house or whatever they're doing. And if they're not taking all of this into consideration, what they might owe, they're going to net a lot less because of the debt they have to pay, right? So if I'm not communicating well with them, they might get mad at me, or you've got all this disappointment because they're not thinking about this. I mean, yeah, I could see where it could get complicated anyway.
Yeah, it's good for them to take a look at the prelim when they get it. And the other thing is the escrow officer does a settlement statement. So that'll give them, the exact amount that they're going to net and get a better idea.
So Kathy, I have a question, or one comment and one question, and that is, as the listing agent, obviously this is now a new, not new, but it should be part of our standard operating procedure to order the prelim title report so that we can go over these items with our seller previous to actually listing going on the market, so that they can be sure in our estimated cost sheets that these numbers are factored in, if they're even accurate, that we should talk to our sellers about this. So we're getting this before we list the house. We already have talked to them about this, and then we go under contract, and then it's run again, right, by the buyer's escrow company or title company. And then my question to that is if this stuff shows up again is it standard operating procedure for the escrow title company to reach out to our client to go over it with them?
Okay, so there's a lot in there. Thank you, Michelle. Good questions. Well, first of all, I don't personally think it's standard to order these up front. Some of these could take 6 hours and they're not paid for. So we will do them once you have a listing, not prior to a listing. We'll do a listing package prior to your listing to find liens. But once, typically there is, the reason for the time in between the contract and close is to clean up the stuff. So when I would order an early bird in the typical, I know, Michelle, that you get them on every one, and we appreciate that because you bring them back to us. When you have a buyer, you know, they come back to us, and so we do appreciate that. But typically, I would make sure you order these. If your seller says to you, I have some judgments, I think, or I might have a federal tax lien, or, you know, I think I have some issue on here or whatever. So we can even do sometimes a quick search to find that stuff. But typically, there's not this much stuff on here, and you do have the time between contract and closed. Escrow has time to clean this up, but it is good for your seller to know that this is coming and for you guys to take a look at it. And yes, your escrow officers should be looking at all of these things. And if there is something like this bankruptcy or a probate, they should be reaching out to you right away to let you know, hey, there's something that's going to take some time, and we probably better get going. That's another time really when you want to order early bird too, is if you know that one of the sellers has died, you know, so that we can you guys can get that started right away. And yeah, so
thank you.
But it is important. You're welcome. Thanks for the question. It is really important for the seller and listing agent to take a look at this. So we're also going to record a new deed of trust to be insured. So we're just letting the escrow officer know that that also has to happen. There's a couple of notes also that are still part of that Schedule B, Section 1. So the tax note, and you know, that's really important. I have seen transactions where the buyer's on a very fixed income, and the taxes could actually take them, like, make the deal fall through, you know, because it's just too much of a payment plus their taxes, and they just can't do it. So it's good for the buyer to know what the taxes are going to be. And then the chain of title, it just says how the most current owner got into title on the property. And mostly this is for escrow, to let escrow know that if it's been within the last 5 years, they could qualify for a discount. Like the seller could qualify for a discount when they're purchasing the buyer's title insurance. So as long as it was an insured transaction within the last 5 years. So we let the escrow officers know that. And then the lender's note, the lender always wants us to put the address on here, but title companies don't insure addresses. So we just say the purported address as disclosed by the Pima County Assessor's Office is as follows. Okay, so that's really long. And like I said, I hope that you guys don't have prelims that look like this. Michelle, have you had any like this?
Not that extensive, but I've had a couple with several items, including marriage dissolutions with outstanding child support or spousal support, and then with tax liens that totally killed the deal because they didn't even know they were on there, apparently. Wow. So they say. So
well, that's the thing too. A lot of times your sellers, they might know that they have a federal tax lien, but they don't realize that it attaches to their property. Yeah. So those are good conversations to have, you know, just say, do you have any federal tax liens or state tax liens? Because they don't know that it attaches. They're not telling you, well, they don't want to tell you about them. It's probably embarrassing. But that's a really good point too. When there's a divorce, that can really cause problems, because a lot of times the divorce might say that I get the property, but then my ex-husband isn't willing to sign the quitclaim deed over. So that could be issue as well.
And then what, in one of the classes, somebody, I don't know if it was Colleen or somebody, but they had suggested what the best closing dates were because of the taxes and different things for the buyer. What, do you have that information?
I don't know that information, but Tricia, I don't know if you're still with us. That's a good question for escrow.
Okay.
I am still with you. And you know what? It just depends. A lot of people tend to go towards the end of the month because they feel like there won't be additional taxes for the following month. You know, the proration is taking place. But some people will say, you know what? It's easier for them to close. They can get themselves situated. It's not going to be that big a variance. So it really just depends on the customer. And then the other thing we were talking about, Kathy, was, you know, what days of the week and Fridays and when we actually, you know, can get that in so it'll record that day. Great question.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, Fridays, the middle of the month and the end of the month, the last day of the month are crazy. So if you can avoid those, you know, it's probably better for you.
Yeah. And even Kathy, the first week of the month has gotten busier because people realize, you know, maybe we can get this all taken care of. And so it's been pretty busy nonstop.
Yeah, it's every day is busy now. Well, that's a good thing for all of us in our careers. Okay, so the last section is Schedule B, Section 2, the exceptions. To me, this is the most important part of the preliminary title report. And the reason I say that is because these are the things that are not going to go away. And these are the things that your buyer has 5 days from date of receipt to review to make sure that this property is going to work for them. Because they may be wanting to have a motorhome there, or they may want to have goats, or they may want to run a business, or they may want to put in a pool and there's a big easement through the back of the property. So this is really like, if you could let your buyer know once, you know, as soon as you are, you know, finishing up that contract, let them know that you're going to receive this. You're going to look at Schedule B, Section 2 and read. They're going to be hyperlinked, or you're going to get hard copies of all the items and read through them to make sure it's going to work for you. And you have 5 days. So, okay. So the first thing you're going to see is that the buyer will be subject to taxes, property taxes. And then number 2 is on almost every prelim. Back in the beginning of the United States giving property to individuals, they did it in a patent. So this says reservations contained in the patent from the United States of America. It was recorded back in 1932. So the reason we put this on here is because usually the United States gives property to the individual and says, however, we're going to reserve the right to go in and mine and remove the minerals if we want, or take the oil, or dig canals, take the water. So they are subject to the reservations in the patent. And it's very rare in Arizona that the individuals get the minerals with their property. Sometimes you'll have a client maybe from Texas or somewhere else where they're used to receiving the minerals when they buy a piece of property and the oil. And they, you know, they're really concerned about that. Most of the time people aren't, but sometimes people are concerned about that. And there's very few properties where they actually get the mineral rights. Okay, and then number 3, anytime your property is a subdivision, so the developer took a piece of land, divided it up, put in easements, roads, sidewalks, the lots, they record a plat map showing all of that on the plat map. And there's easements that are shown on the plat map and restrictions, maybe building setback lines, maybe a equestrian easement, maybe an easement so that you can't drive out the back of your property. So we will provide a copy of that plat map. Your buyer will have that so they can review it. And then number 4, they're subject to all the restrictions, the CC&Rs. Now, CC&Rs, restrictions, and deed restrictions, those are just all interchangeable words, just so you know. And just because there's not a homeowners association on some of the properties does not mean there's not restrictions. Almost every property has some restrictions recorded against it. So what's going to happen if your buyer gets this by email and you guys get the prelims by email, you're going to be able to click right on these items and open them and read them. They could be, the restrictions could be 10 to 300 pages long. So they'll be able to hyperlink and just click right on them. And these are the things that say you cannot paint your house pink. You can't leave your garage door open. You can't have goats. You can't have chickens. Can't park your motorhome. So it's important that they review that. And, you know, when you're working with a buyer, you can get those from us at any time. If you have a buyer that you know wants to do certain things with their property, when you're out looking, you can get Lindsay or Colleen or Trisha or Jessica to email those to you, and they'll get them to you right away so you can pass them on to your buyer. Number 5 is on almost every prelim. Water rights or claims or title to water that are not recorded. So that is because a long time ago, there was agricultural water rights from one property to another, and they're not recorded always. So we just say, if there's any water rights or claims or title to water, we're not going to pay an insurance claim based on that. And then the last thing is that they're subject to their new loan. So they're going to own the property, but they're going to owe $160,000. And when we do the preliminary title report, it will be blank like this. And then once we issue the title insurance policy after the closing, all of that will be filled in from the actual deed of trust that gets recorded. So those are the 3 sections. And again, you know, Schedule A is both sides want to look at. Schedule B, Section 1 requirements is mostly for your seller. And then Schedule B, Section 2 is mostly for your buyer. And then that is it. The rest of it is pre-printed stuff about it. Discounts, affiliated business arrangement, good funds law, you know, just some pre-printed stuff, conditions to title insurance. But the main parts are those 3 I was telling you about.
Do you have this in a PDF format so that we could have it to look at?
Yeah, we could definitely email it out to you for sure. I'll write your name down and get it out to you.
If they, okay.
Some agents,
I was going to say,
some agents will take.
Sorry.
Some agents will take the prelim with them to their buyer, and they'll say, here's the page you're going to look for. This is what it's going to look like, you know, and so that when they get it, they know what to look for. I've heard that before.
Hey, Kathy.
And Kathy, yes. I just wanted to mention that sometimes the escrow officer, after they've reviewed everything, they'll send an email to the agents on both sides, and they'll say, here's some things that we need to make sure we take care of. Right. And that's always great too.
Yeah, it's good to have an escrow officer who keeps in touch with you and reads the prelim. That is one of the reasons why you want to have a relationship with one escrow officer, you know, mostly because you get used to working together, and then they know they're going to take care of you and watch out for you. Someone else had a question. Was it Cindy?
Yeah. So what happens when there's a couple of things that are found on that Schedule B portion that apparently they owe money, which I have a current situation. They didn't know about it. It's been years, and now it needs to be taken care of. So what are the steps?
So what the steps are is when we do the prelim, when we find these things, escrow then will call all the creditors, find out how much money is due. And then once escrow receives all the money, then they're going to pay those things first before the seller gets any proceeds.
Because there was like a seller's package that my clients got, and they had to fill it out. What exactly is
that for? That's a really good question too. Besides the preliminary title report coming from title to your client, your seller and buyer also, right when escrow opens, title security sends a packet out to both of them and asks them to fill it out and send it back in. So the seller, they're asking usually for like social security information because that way they can get payoffs. For the buyer, they're going to be asking ways to how are you going to take title to the property? Who's your hazard insurance going to be with, and those kind of things.
Okay, so that's totally separate then from fixing the judgments / liens.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll even ask, what liens do you have on there? It's kind of it's just like a double, triple. I mean, we're doing the research and we're ensuring what we find. So, but it's just kind of, sometimes I'll ask them to, what liens do you know about, that kind of thing. To double check.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No? Okay. Was that helpful, you think?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad. All right. And you can always call me. Like if you get a really ugly prelim, you can email it to me and then we can talk on the phone and go over it together. I'm happy to, I love doing that kind of stuff and I'm happy to do that. Even if you had to get it from one of those other awful title companies, I'll do that for you. Oh, anytime. All right. Any other questions or scenarios or? Okay. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for coming. And thank you so much for your business.
Thanks for your time, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
Hey, Kathy, so what's your position now?
Well, I've always been the manager of Catalina Title, but I also did sales at 3 real estate offices. And I just am backing out of there because I think Lindsay will do a better job at that. So, yeah, I just, I feel like it will help us a lot. And I have, my chief title officer is retiring in June. All my people are training and I just want to be more, available to them. And, I think I've been doing this such a long time. I really want to move more towards supporting the agents with the problems that they have and helping us get through things. But I'm still here. It's just that I don't do the sales part anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
But you can always reach out to me anytime.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm going to stay on for a minute to write down these email addresses for people who wanted a copy of the prelim, and I'll get it out to you right away.
So Kathy, real quick, once they address the liens or the judgments,
Yeah.
and they talk to escrow and they're like, okay, I don't recognize these, I don't know anything about it, but let's take care of it. So all they have to do is acknowledge and then it'll get taken care of at the end. Like, is there anything that the sellers need to do in the meantime?
Not really. If the escrow officer needs help from the seller to take care of any of the items, they will communicate with the listing agent, and go from there. But as far as as far as paying off homeowners association liens, taxes, judgments, stuff like that, and deeds of trust, escrow just calls and gets the information and does it. As far as oh my gosh, we need a probate or a bankruptcy approval, then they're going to reach out to you and say, we're going to need your buyer to do this, this, and this. I mean, your seller.
Seller. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because they reached out to me But it's funny because they reached out to me about the seller's information packet, which I haven't had title.
Oh, yeah. So the
before.
reason probably
And-
they reached out to you is if it doesn't get returned by your seller, then sometimes I'll reach out to the agent and just say, hey, can you
wonder.
get
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Because then they're like, oh, well, can you give us their email? And I'm kind of like, okay, sure. Kind of like, don't you have it? So then they sent it, but I sent it too. And
Okay.
and but I just wanted to make sure like what needs to be done and make sure, you know, all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted before we close, because I would hate for something to be causing a delay in closing.
Well, for sure. And who are you using right now?
Well, they actually, I tried Catalina Title, but they asked if they could use Long Title. And
Okay.
they are using TSA though with
Yeah.
Gretchen Cochran.
Gretchen. Okay. So did you pick Gretchen or?
No, they did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I
So-
put these escrow with Allison Mills. And they're like, well, are you
Yeah,
married to her?
That's what I would recommend to you
I am.
because
Yes.
Gretchen is like so far behind the 8 ball. I would
Oh.
definitely recommend. Yeah, I would recommend Allison and Catalina.
Yep.
So
I
if
used
you were,
Allison with my buyer, but I tried with this one and they're like, well, do you mind? Because the buyer's agent is a Long agent, and I guess
yeah,
they're right there. They're all like right next to each other. And he's like, it'd be so nice to walk over there and all this stuff.
and you're like, okay, fine.
Okay. Because they're like, well, you know, is there a reason? I'm like, well, I just, you know, I'm going with people, you know, that I can work with, you know, and does a great job. So
Yeah, and you were the listing agent.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, thank you for trying, but yeah, the buyers, yeah.
I did.
But, you know, right now listings have a good chance of directing the deal because there's a lot of the houses have so many offers on them. You know, it's like the buyer's agent, it's almost like they, you know, it's kind of like they'll go with the listing agent person just because of that to make
Because
it
of that.
go through.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I just said, well, you know, it really already started the title work because we already got the prelim and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you for your help. I just wanted to double check on that. No, and I haven't run across a judgment or anything like that before. So my first
Well,
one.
hopefully you won't. Let's cross our fingers.
I know. Yeah. Thankfully, it's a very small amount. So I think they're each maybe $250 a piece.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's like, what is this? He's like, well, I'm not going to pay something that I don't owe. And I'm like, well, I understand. And they'll research it. But
yeah, maybe it's not him. Maybe it's
well, it has his name and his wife's name and a previous address. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I think it is you. So he's like, well, maybe it's for my daughter from a long time ago. Like it was like 10 years ago.
Wow.
And they've been in and out of the state. And so, because they lived here, they moved away, then they moved back, and now they're moving away again. So, yeah.
Well,
So
at least they're low, and they'll get paid off through the escrow. It'll just come out of the seller proceeds.
that's what I kind of figured. So we just want to make sure they addressed it. And I think there might be an HOA in there too. So,
yeah.
But anyway, all right. Well, thank you. I'm glad to see you're still there.
Yes, I'm here. Have a good day.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.